Hi, everyone. Welcome to I'm Recruiter podcast. I'm your host, Prafula Deori. I'm Recruiter is a community created by and for talent acquisition professionals. Our vision is to build a leading global community for TA folks. And our mission is to help 100K TA professionals grow from a traditional recruiter to a trusted talent advisor. I'm sure you will love this podcast because we have a very special guest, Sushmita. And if you find our content useful, please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment in our channel. So, to talk more about Sushmita, uh, first of all, thank you, Sushmita, for joining us. And to talk more about her, Sushmita is very passionate about talent acquisition, about the whole process of recruitment as well. She has almost like 6+ years of experience in recruitment industry, currently making waves with flat gigs. She is expert in all of talent acquisition processes and work with companies like MX Player, Google, Randstad. Is not only focused on one thing, but she is focused on multiple things, right? So we can definitely learn lots and lots of things from her. She has already also have multiple different certification, and one of them is CIPD. Uh, she in her family she have like two dogs, three cats. She loves pet, and with this, Susmita, welcome to I'm Recruiter podcast. Looking forward to an interesting discussion. Really excited to have you in our podcast. So over to you. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
Thank you, Prafula. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I have been following this and I've always imagined, okay, what is going to be my introduction once I am on that stage. And now clearly, uh, I hope I live up to the introduction that you have given me. But yes, that being said, my name is Sushmitha Golla. I have talent acquisition has always been my you know, bread, butter, and everything else. And what I actually do is my vision is also echoes from I am recruiter's vision, and I think we had a brief conversation about that as
Yes.
well. Putting TA in forefront of the business operations and the strategic as a strategic partner. I tumbled into recruitment and it is since 2018 I have been loving it. And I have a little thing about me from my personal life. I am an engineering graduate, computer science engineering. So I went from building recruiters to building computers to building teams who build uh, computers. Uh, that being said, I am from a military background. My mom and my dad both were in Air Force and Army, uh, doctor and engineer. So that's where I think my engineering mindset comes. I also am passionate about animals and I have been involved with them. And we have two cats and one dog in India, and here in Dubai I have one dog and one cat. They are loved. You might, my cat is sleeping right there, so you might be, she'll give you a special appearance. So, yes, so that's about it. I moved to Dubai 2 years ago in September. So, it has been quite a journey. I look forward to sharing that with you.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Susmita, for a great introduction. So, just wanted to know a little bit more about your background. Like, uh, were you born and brought up in India, and which part of India, if you were born and brought up?
We hail from a place called Tenali in Andhra. My
Okay,
dad is from Vijayawada, so it's just 40 minutes from Vijayawada. That's my maternal grandma, my nanny's house. So all of our cousins have been born there. Uh, but growing up, we have been in north, east, south, west, everywhere. So my 10th is from Nagpur, my 12th is from Guwahati, my engineering is from a place called Guntur in Andhra, and then my MBA is from Hyderabad. So I have
Okay,
been
okay.
everywhere.
So,
So that's about it.
since you also mentioned that you are from an army background, right? So, how was your life as a student or as a like child, right? Because definitely both of your parent are definitely they have their own lifestyle, but being a student, being a child, how was your life back then?
It was interesting. So, usually, when we look at army kids, they are usually from army schools, Air Force schools, or from Kendra Vidyalayas. No, my education has always been in, Christian schools where primarily they used to teach about morals, and I have
Yes,
been taught in Little Flower and Montfort schools in Chandigarh and Nagpur. So it's all over the place, and I think I'm a good amalgamation of Jugaad as well as yeah, because in army schools, I remember when I was in army school in Gujarat 2001, we had an earthquake, and we actually learned in tents. Army people had tents put up for each school, each class, and we used to study there. And I was telling my husband is in education, and they run a school where people don't step out if it's not air conditioned. So I was like, I studied in tents. I am fine. People will be fine as well. So,
yeah, yeah,
jokes apart, yes. So I'm a very good combination of making the best thing um, out of nothing,
nothing.
and making making friends as well. And most importantly, because we moved every 2 3 years, it was about how well can you adjust, because
Yeah,
you start from scratch, and when you being a father, you know that consistency is the key of child, and your parents try to put it consistently, and we miss that. So
yeah,
it was
yeah.
adaptability, it was like, okay, and dealing with a lot of different culture and uh, personalities. I think that's why I gravitate towards recruitment, because you have so many interesting conversations, you learn about so many people, and you learn how to deal with them on the fly. So yeah, so that's about a little bit about me. Yeah.
Yeah, but interesting. Really, the way which you have mentioned, right? Definitely, with lots of change, we have to keep adapting and keep making friends. I do agree. Like making friends is not easy for everyone, right? But and once you make friends, again, you have to leave those friends behind and make some other new friends.
It's interesting. I still have my friends from I think eighth, and we still meet up, and it's a small world, right? When you are in air force or army, it's a very small world. uh, you have friends of friends of friends who are like posted together, and you just like you try to get a common ground, and then you have fun with it. I think that's what we learn, and that's why I think it is fun uh, as well, because recruitment, you try to find a common ground, and you try to find, okay, what is it that will make him click or make them click, so that they
Yeah.
can come. So that's how I think I see my correlation, my
Yes.
past with my recruitment career.
Great, great answer. So other thing what I wanted to ask is since both of your parents were like from army and Air, Air Force, right? So definitely they have what we have seen naturally very disciplined, organized in things. How were you personally?
This is so fun. I want to be like as proper as, I start my day with, journaling, and I have, gym routine and everything. But that's not it. I wake up, I wake up with my cat meowing at me, and uh, yes, we all. One good thing that I learned from my mom and my dad is time punctuality. If I say I will be there at 10:45, I will be there at 10:45. I and I am respectful of anyone, right? And however, you know, angry I am, I will take a beat and be respectful, because jugaad again, you have to make sure that you get the best, of the person, and you make the best of the situation. Chaos, and we deal with a lot of things that are happening, and you have to make sure that you remain focused. So when I say I remain focused, I give myself like half an hour or 45 minutes to complete a task, and it's done. Right? You don't have to look back. So that's there. About say say now I have to party, so I'll party hard as well. So that's also what I have learned from this. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
And
how it goes.
and many of the people they dream of uh, being part of army or air force because of the dress, their uniforms, and they look so good in it, right? Even in one moment of time, even I applied, uh,
Yeah.
but somehow I couldn't clear the final round. So, but again, like. And if your parents are from that particular background, they want their child to go to either army or air force or something, right? Because, for example, my dad worked with a company name called ONGC, right?
Mhm.
And he want me to work in ONGC, right? It was
Yeah.
his dream. And if
Yeah.
your parent is an engineer, they want child to be an engineer, or a doctor, then doctor.
Yeah.
So, what was your like? Did you ever imagine to become an army or an air force or doctor or an engineer?
So I turned out I became an engineer. So that's how I did. Uh, but honestly, I was fascinated with aeroplanes. I actually wanted to become an aeronautical engineer. Uh, but again, when I was looking at it, IIT, AI triple E में तो कुछ उखाड़ा नहीं हमने. So I became computer science engineer. I developed a lot of interesting algorithms. What I thought NLP, I worked on NLP algorithms and everything, but I didn't want to become a medical doctor or go into the medicine aspect of it, is because I don't really connect with biology. I don't really connect with sciences. I loved physics. That's about it. And biochemistry, yes, I understood and it was fun, but that's it. My thinking was more analytical and more problem solving. So that's why I gravitated towards engineering more. And when I looked at it from, when you look at the dress, and you look at the the lifestyle that air force or army offers, it's very fascinating. And trust me, the perks alone will make you give make you give the exam, to be really honest. And one thing is that I saw what my dad and my mom's journey was, how and they were never posted together as a
Okay.
family. We never had that time to grow. And if I got into an air force family, or I got into an army, right, family, I
Yeah.
didn't want to go with that. And honestly, when you are in army or air force, you are stringent to a timeline, and you're
Yeah.
stringent to a day that you have, which didn't resonate with me. I love working at my own time. I would love working with my own pace. Yes, freaky daru kisko nahi chahiye, but I am I am more than happy at where I am.
वेरी ट्रू, ट्रू। सब लोग तो वो मैनेज तो करते हैं जुगाड़ अपने
Yeah,
आर्मी फ्रेंड बोल के या कोई भी रिश्तेदार को बोल के। एग्री।
but
एंड
honestly, the perks are amazing. But yeah, it's anyway. Yeah.
So, is it because of those like पहले आपने like family को miss किया and because of that somehow in your thought process back of your mind कि यार मैं मेरे mom कहीं जाती है different workplace, my dad goes to different workplace and you were not together when you wanted them together for some or the other time. Was that one of the call why you didn't go for army or air force?
One, I was overweight, so I
Okay,
couldn't actually give the exam. I had to actually lose like 50 kgs, which eventually I did. Uh, that being apart, I didn't think I was a fit for uh, the nature that I had, right?
okay,
Mentally and physically, it didn't sit right with where I was at that point in time. I tried multiple things. I spoke to people who were in academy at that point in time who took exams, and they were like, "Beta, you should look at private sector," and it was a very blatant answer, and I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And my when my cousins were there, right, and they were asking me, why I have a younger sister, so why you both didn't get the legacy going. uh, to be really honest, I don't think it appealed to us. What? Because we have seen the good, bad, and ugly.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
when you had that journey, you're like, huh, now what else? And
yeah,
of
yeah.
course, we will miss being in the cantonment and having that luscious green place wherever we go, but we'll find our own oasis. I think that's
Yes,
where we
yes,
close our path.
totally agree. And thanks for sharing and being candid and sharing your heart out, right? So definitely,
Yeah.
I want this podcast to be candid as much as possible, and because of that, I try to ask little bit more past question so that we can relate, and then we will go to the future question. Great. So after that, like after your engineering, like
Mm.
how did you ended up in talent acquisition, Susmit?
So it was quite a journey. I finished my engineer. I knew during my engineering that I will not continue with coding, or I will not be developing, proceedings with software development, because as much as I enjoyed it, it didn't give me the dopamine hit that I
That why?
actually wanted.
Yeah,
And to be really honest, I was looking at that point in time, we didn't know what is product management, what is,
yeah,
so and so, and it is 2014 I'm talking about. So we had a management subject called MEFA, Management Economics Financial Analysis.
yeah.
So I resonated with that more. So I decided to give my CAT exam then, which I totally blew because I just studied for a month, and I was like, "हाँ कर देंगे." I got and I got 19 percentile, 19. So
Okay, okay.
I was like, then my mommy is an IRS officer, and she actually was talking about how where how IRS does and everything. So I had a QA QC job lined up after I got out, which I didn't like, so I quit. And I was looking for my next gig, and she was talking about it, and I actually gave it 2 years to learn and everything. And my dad was like, you know what, this journey will continue. Why not do your MBA? So
Okay.
I gave a small exam called MCAT, which is for
Okay.
Andhra and Telangana. I
Okay.
cracked
Okay.
it, and then my MBA journey started. And my talent acquisition was actually the internship I had at Mylan. So that was my
Okay.
first exposure to Naukri, to everything. And they told me how I write the JD and stuff, and I was sitting there, and that was my first offer that I gave the person, first offer letter. And I was like, sir, ye theek hai, sir, this is the sentence, right? They're like, de do, kuch nahi hota. But to be really honest, the kick was, my lecturer told me, HR is a thankless job, right? If you tell them कि तुम्हारा you have so and so, it is a thankless job because they will find something to complain. But talent acquisition is something that is rewarding. That, yes, HR will be rewarding in a long run, but you will
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
immediate results. And the spark that you get when you give the offer to someone is something worthwhile. And that's what keeps me going today. And that's a little bit about it. But after MBA, I got into Deloitte Knowledge Services, where I dealt with a lot of C-suite people and talk about knowledge sharing and everything, which was fun, but it, again, didn't resonate with me. And I still remember at Deloitte, I was in my notice period, and it was like 1 week till my last date. And I was like, okay, I didn't have a job or anything, and 2 mahine ho gaye, nothing is there. And I was walking in Hyderabad. There is a place called Begumpet, right?
Yeah. Mega.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
Begumpet. So I was walking there, just got down from the metro, and I was walking, and I saw this board called Randstad. I was like, okay, what is this? Curious, didn't know anything. And then I was like, okay. And then LinkedIn, kya karte hai recruiters, LinkedIn. And I found this girl, and she posted about a Randstad. And I was like, okay, let's just send our CV and everything. Got a call. Till the last day, I didn't have a job. Last day of my Deloitte, I didn't have a job. And the next day, they were like, okay, come down for the final interview. I went, I got in, and I have not looked back since. So
Great.
it
Great.
has
Great.
been quite a journey, quite a dramatic journey. But again,
Just,
it is what it is. Yeah.
I would say it's very much similar, Sushmita. Even for me, like I also did
Mhm.
my engineering,
Mm.
and engineering. Even I was not very passionate about like
Mm.
coding and all. I didn't like. I didn't uh, find a click. But
Mm.
even in the engineering time, I was good with managing the events, managing
Mm.
people, and all those things. And at the time, I was not having any clue कि क्या करना है life में, ठीक है?
Mm.
So I started connecting with people, asking people कि क्या कर सकते हैं. So
Yeah.
many people told you can do MTech, you
Mm.
can do MBA, or you can do job, right?
Yeah.
Or you can sit for some government job and all those things as well. सो मुझे तो नौकरी नहीं करना था, मुझे पढ़ना था क्योंकि अभी तक कुछ वैसे मैंने उखाड़ा नहीं. आई वाज काइंड ऑफ अ वेरी एवरेज स्टूडेंट थ्रू आउट माय जर्नी.
Yeah.
सो मैंने एमबीए किया एंड समहाउ आई फेल इन लव विद होल प्रोसेस आई वुड से. एंड वहाँ पे थोड़ा बहुत इंटरेस्ट आया. Even there, like I got more exposure to talent acquisition, HR, marketing, and entrepreneurship as well. So
Yeah.
overall, I see that MBA काफी चीज सिखाता है, काफ़ी
Yeah.
एक्सपोज़र देता भी है. एंड
I also believe that, right? MBA just connects the dots for you. It doesn't do much as technical knowledge, but it
यस,
connects the
यस,
dots. Yeah, I
डॉट.
totally agree. Yes,
And
yes.
during your my engineering time, even I knew that uh, maybe एम वगैरह तो सॉरी घर से
Hmm.
पैसा लिया कोचिंग करने के लिए, ठीक है। तो वो कोचिंग का पैसा लेके दोस्तों के साथ मनाली घूम रहा था, नैनीताल घूम रहा था। आई टुक ए सेकंड हैंड बाइक एज वेल, आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर। बट इफ आई लुक बैक टुडे, आई थिंक लाइफ में जो होता है it happened for good, right? Because now I'm very happy where I am today, very comfortable talking to people. I love helping people. So somehow now, if I look back, the journey was great. At the time, it was very confusing. Sometimes it was very tough as well, right?
It was, yeah. And when you look at it, I'll tell you something. When my parents were like, okay, this is not happening, this is not happening, why don't you try this? And one time my dad gave me an ultimatum that you give the exam and see what happens and do an MBA, because I was clear, मेरे को MTech नहीं करना था, मेरे को MSB नहीं जाना था. So they were like, do this and then continue, or else look for a job. Because 2 years I was just sitting, studying, doing my own stuff. And I'm glad my dad pushed me, because this wouldn't have happened if I didn't take that time to understand, okay, what is happening with the world, and I couldn't connect the dots. And with MBA, I actually got an opportunity to build that profile which I was actually looking for. And it helped me connect the dots, and it helped me realize where I actually want to be headed. There's no shade to IIM or the B schools. Love their approach. I have some certifications from there also. My whole thing is, where I did my MBA from, we made sure that we used every single resource that we had perfectly. We didn't have multiple resources. We made sure that we start from scratch and we build something. So my foundation is pretty strong. And while talking to people who have the IIM degrees as well, I can speak to them at a level where it's fundamentally I'm strong. They might talk more strategically, which I am learning how to do. But yes, अगर हमारा fundamental ठीक है, सब बढ़िया.
आराम से अभी if you see someone was talking about like uh, TA are basically the building blocks of any organization, right? So अगर
Yeah.
basic clear है तो सब हो ही जाएगा, strategy भी वो बन ही जाएगा, सीख ही लेंगे.
Yeah.
Great,
Flight.
of course. So now talking about your journey, you started, you gave interview at Randstad. क्या हुआ कि कैसा रहा आपका journey in Randstad? Like what you learned, what kind of challenges, and how long you stayed there?
So I Randstad had multiple operations. Uh, I had 4 rounds of interview. One with my manager, the global manager. His name is Mujahid. He's still with Randstad. Then with our director Wahida, who moved, and Ramna. I remember my because Ramna and I were talking, because I posted about the 5 years in recruitment about LinkedIn, and Ramna just messaged me and he's like, "What is happening?" And I told him that you are one of the reasons why I kept going in recruitment, because he built Randstad India from scratch. And he was talking about how, I remember that day he was talking about how, journey he had, what type of struggles he faced. And he has been in recruitment from almost 25 years. So that's how. And I still remember my team lead Rohini. She was like, बुलियन ऐसे बनाते हैं, ऐसे चेकलिस्ट होता है, हाँ, you have to see. And every step of the way she was there. When I messed up also, she didn't criticize me. She kept me going. And within a month I had my first hire. We had an RPO model in Randstad, and Whirlpool was our client, so we were actually directly working in Whirlpool. uh, so I had my first hire, and that's how we started building. So I didn't know anything about intake calls and everything. And then I actually started making more, sitting at the forefront and taking calls with the client and being like, okay, why not, if you know anything about US, they have two two degrees. One is bachelor's and one is associates, which is similar, just that credits का कुछ difference होता है. So I was like, okay, let's, why not choose associates degree with a little more experience, because we'll have, and it was organic, the strategic decisions and the market research and everything was very organic. And the suggestions that I was giving as a talent partner was also very organic, because it was backed up with a lot of research and talking to a lot of candidates. And that's how I think my journey has always been. We didn't have any formats, you put in a format, right? I still remember I helped design a structure for their blue collared hiring as well, and I was the only one. And dhadadhar, 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 my manager was like, "What is happening? Why are you hiring so much?" I was like, "I don't know." Do you have a problem with me hiring so much as well? But honestly, it was about how I identified the resources. If they
Yeah.
were hiring blue collared people, I found out that they were labor offices. So I actually contacted the labor offices so they basically have one county, and county has multiple different things in US. So you, and every sub county, I guess, has one
Yeah.
labor office. You call them
Okay.
and you have that conversation. So it's basically about networking again, right? And it's about, okay, they don't like calls, so you find a place where you can actually message them. So you find tools for messaging them as well. So that, and you keep on, and you find an automation tool to keep reminding them that they have a interview, or they have a walk-in interview. So that, right? So it's all about how recruitment, I think, is more about how well you find resources and make sure that the candidate and the hiring manager sit in one room. That is half of the job. Rest
Yeah.
all they will
Will
take
fall
care
in
of.
place. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
will fall in place. So that's how I think. I never dealt with standard tools, right? They were like, "ठीक है, you have Karya." I, I remember US had Karya Builder and Monster. That were the main tools there. And no one knew that Karya Builder had a market research tool attached to it. So when you have a niche role and the hiring manager is being unreasonable with his demands, you use the market research. No one told me that. It's how you present it, right? I'm like, okay, if you are hiring, they were hiring for a cybersecurity manager role, right? And they were building a IoT network sort of thing. I don't know what they're doing. Let them do whatever. So I was talking to a lot of people, and these were they were getting hired in Michigan, which is more of technical and engineering, not so much of software engineering roles. I was like, okay, why don't you make it a remote role? And they were like,
Yeah.
no, we
Yeah.
want everyone to be here. सामने बैठना है, मेरे को देखना है क्या कर रहे हैं. And then I was like, literally, I went to Career Builder and I'm like, okay, this is what is your concentration of your talent, right? And no one told me this. No one told me ki, okay, you have to do the market research, show the market research. It's basically common sense, right? You show them ki this is where your talent is, and this is what they are doing, and this is how much they're charging. If you show them, they they'll make more strategic decisions. And you have to make sure it's more in terms of how you present it and how well you find solutions for the problems you have. And
Totally
that's,
agree.
I think, where my jugaad and my
I was
nature,
about to ask you.
because hey, no one will tell you ki फिर भी नहीं पूछेगा. So that's how you
So,
do it.
like when you were working with Randstad, like you were working mostly in US market, or you were also working in India market as well.
No, so it was Randstad was all US market. I
Okay,
worked a bit in Europe as well. Uh,
okay,
we worked with when COVID hit. Then we picked up the blue collared hiring project for Randstad, which actually is it was a 6 week project. Because of how well we had handled it, went into a 6 month project with multiple different
roles.
geographies. So we actually had expanded to Europe as well.
Okay, okay. So when you were talking about blue collar job, right? Because
Mhm.
still, I'm sure there are lots of recruiters who might not know what
Mhm.
exactly the blue collar job is. So can you explain little bit कि
Sure.
क्या देखना पड़ता है, किस kind of roles?
Yeah. So when we talk about white collared or blue collared jobs, one distinct thing is degree. They are usually white collared employees will have the dead giveaway is presence of a degree, right? And whereas to be really put it in a really layman's work, blue collar will do do the work with their hands and legs, right? Will be more physical work in nature, and white collar will be more mental based and more strategic, or more to do with knowledge than physical
Yeah, yeah,
labor, right? And if I have to give you an example, so fact if we look at, that is the most distinct way where you find blue collared and white collared as well. So factory,
yes,
you will have a lot of uh, um, forklift workers and assembly workers. Everyone, those will come under blue collared. White collared will be more engineers and more analysts, executives, and all that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And interesting one thing which you mentioned about the counties and all those things,
Mhm.
and how did you reach out to those counties? Where did you get those ideas? Like कि आपको county office में खबर करना है, फिर then you get those network. How you manage to do that?
I have a lot of cousins in US, so
Okay, थोड़ा बहुत
they
ये county का concept भी बता देना कि क्या होता है county का concept भी.
so हमारे यहाँ पर एक शहर होता है. It's basically like a district and it's
Yeah.
associated towns. If I have to put it in a very
Okay. Okay.
layman
Okay.
way and India way, right? And how I knew about the law, we grew up hearing about their the struggles that my masi, my cousins had, right? Um, in there, and in US we actually have I was talking to a candidate once, and he was like, hey, I'm at my labor office, or the unemployment office. I was like, okay. And then it was once you have finished your Indeed, Monster, and everything, you are looking for different resources. How can
Resources.
you
Yeah.
find? And that conversation stuck with. And then I was just doing a research about, okay, where can I find these people? I was looking at and during, because this was COVID, I was also looking at the layoffs that are happening. So I was actively contacting the closed off factories as well, because I was working with factories. And they were like, there's a labor office or a um, unemployment office where they'll post. So I just had to sit with Whirlpool's team to design a flyer and get it started.
Post over there.
That's it.
Okay,
And
okay, okay.
post over there. So that's how conversations led to me finding a different avenue altogether.
Great, great. And how
So,
long you
so I
stayed there
think
in
if
Remstead? Yes,
I,
yes, interesting.
shy of 2 years, I actually
Okay,
wanted to travel, but again, 2021, I wanted to travel to US, and I wanted to take like 6 months off, which
okay.
was not possible. So ultimately, I quit because I wanted to go. And they were very kind enough to be like, okay, 6 months down the line, if you want to come
Come
back,
back and join.
you can. And I was like, okay. But what happened is COVID lockdown hit again, and the travel ban started again. So I had to find a job. So that's how Google happened to me.
Okay.
Uh,
So,
Even though, yes.
yeah. So, when Google happened, like, what exactly, like, how did you approach? What was the process and all those things? If you can tell a little bit more in detail.
Google, I have not never been an active job seeker, so Google also approached. I got approached by this one contract sourcer in Google.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's now with Tata. So he actually was like, "Hey, are you interested?" So I was like, "Sure." And the interview, why I love Google's format of interviewing is they they don't evaluate you based on what have you done. They actually evaluate you, what will you do, and how adaptable you are. They asked me questions about, okay, so you want to source on LinkedIn, and how will you have 1 month uh, to join Google, and so how will you prep for your role in the meantime? And I was like, okay, I will, I'll connect, because I knew that I was gunning for their software engineering and their tech engineering roles. So I was like, okay, I will connect with the software engineers and everything, and product based companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and other startups, and start having conversations with them before I approach them for a role at Google, because 90% of the hires are passive candidates in Google. And I love that they actually told me what I missed. Like, oh, you can approach them via groups as well. There are events and everything. So I
For example,
like
community.
communities. Yeah, exactly, I am recruiter community. So yeah, so it was more in terms of, okay, you have done so far, you have knowledge. What are you going to do with your knowledge ahead? How are you going to recruit? And they asked me about making a sourcing strategy role, and how am I going to, and it was candidate engagement more than hiring managers engagement as well. So how will you engage with the passive candidate and everything? And when I worked with Google, when I was interviewing for Google, it was 4 rounds of interview. And I still remember the director of APAC. It was a blank face. I was like, I will not get a job because it's a blank face. 10 minutes. What will you know? And then I got a call, and I'm like, and I jumped, and I jumped. I'm like, Google ho gaya. It, and yeah, so it has been quite a journey. I have not I have enjoyed every bit of it because I worked with some of the great minds there. Uh, I have uh, Sonali Sanchan, Bhavesh, and Shanawaz, and Rajiv. Oh my God, he's one of the amazing. Ajit Pate, Aji. He's one of the greatest people, and I have learned some practical tips on how you source a candidate or you engage with a candidate and how you evaluate. And the best part is you prep a candidate for interview. How do you prep a candidate? That's amazing. So that's how my 1 year contractual role with Google happened. Yeah.
But I think you have to write about that thing in your LinkedIn post because
Yeah.
what I've seen, you start writing your thought out about your 5 year journey. Definitely,
Yeah.
I think this your Randstad life, how you handle those blue collar job, definitely it will help lots of people.
Yeah.
Plus, how you cracked your interview in Google, that's other piece which people might be
Yeah.
interested for as well.
Yes, of course. I also, because my Google, I was a contractual employee, and a lot of people I knew have become full time. I also have been thinking of, calling them and, having one on one chat with them to figure out, okay, what have they done differently, and to go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's a very good approach. I think one thing which today's world, what I have seen missing is people are so much engaged with all these platforms, they forget to talk to people, right? And by talking only, we solve lots of problem, but we still hide behind our comfort zone or
Yeah.
these devices and all, and we forget to talk.
It is so true. When I was looking at it also, when you approached me, I took like 30 seconds. I was like, should I say yes? Because emails are more comfortable to me than talking. And I always put foot in my mouth and I'm like, ये नहीं बोलना चाहिए था. And my mom is like so proper because of my upbringing. And my mom is like, you shouldn't have said this. And I'm like, हो गया तो हो गया. क्या करेंगे?
वो एटीट्यूड सही है सुष्मिता आई थिंक everyone is different, right? This is
That's
you,
part of
who
my
you are.
charm, Prafulla.
Yeah. And because of that, I think there will be lots of people who will be your fan following as well. You never know, right?
Of
Because you are
course.
candid and you are like real. You are not thinking too much when you're talking.
Yes, and I believe that when people talk to me, I make sure that I present my authentic self, inviting them to be their authentic self. So I tell them, okay,
Yes,
if I had a bad day, I'll be like, okay, I had a bad day, and they'll be like, okay. First, they will be like, okay, why is she telling about the bad day? But they, in turn, I actually am creating a safe space
safe
so that
space.
you can tell me if you had a bad day. Rajiv once told me, Rajiv Ryan, he was my team lead at Google. He was like, because you are engaging with your passive candidates, right? You will have to engage with them multiple different times. You have to call them every 2 weeks. You have to be like, hi, how is life, how is this, how is your work going, how are kids, happy Diwali, happy Onam, and everything. And then you have to wait for that one day where they'll be frustrated at work, and that's where your opening is. That's
Yes,
where you will be like, okay, why not try for Google, or why not try for ABC? Because we offer ABC things to you. And that's where you take a step from a doer to actually being an active partner, to being
yeah,
a
yeah,
strategic partner, and they they will trust you no matter what. It's just building the trust.
yes.
I believe it's
That's
time.
I think we are almost on the time also. So like post Google, what happened? Which company you joined?
MX player,
Okay.
again, uh, I got approached by the director of HR, Ankita Singh there. Uh, and we had a very short 15-minute screening call with them. And then I had the CHRO Anjani Kumar. I had 10 minutes call with him. And I was like, 10 minutes? How will you evaluate someone in 10 minutes? And we actually were talking about MX Players shows, what they were. If you know MX Player, it's an OTT platform.
Yeah, yeah.
So they
Initially,
were,
they had did this just player kind of thing, VLC player, some
yes,
audio video player. Initially, it was. Then they have transitioned themselves.
yes. So they actually were a standalone video player. They
Yeah.
transitioned to OTT under Times Group umbrella. I think they're doing something different as well right now. Uh, so when it happened, they approached me for a lot more a managerial role and strategic role. They were talking. I did a lot more like career page, uh, and learned more about employer branding, and learned a lot more about how how does the big picture look in terms of strategic recruitment and strategic TA function in as a whole, and where I am approaching it in the more cost perspective and a metric perspective. So that's where my mindset changed from, okay, this is my task, this is the value I'm creating. But now it was more towards now, okay, so this is where my my ABC hire came from, and this is how much is the cost. So is it worth or not? Right? That's where the whole metric mindset came across. And because we were doing it manually, we were not doing it, and we were using so many different vendors, and I had to make the decision about, okay, what type of vendors, what job can be given to what vendor, and everything. So brought in different vendors and try different things. So yeah, so that's where more of data driven strategic TA function mindset came across as well.
Okay. Great. Great. So I have seen your journey. Like I have even we have been discussing a couple of times as well. So as a recruiter, as a TA person, what kind of challenges you have faced in your journey overall, Susmita? The reason why I'm asking you this question is because everyone have a unique set of challenges,
Yes.
right? So everyone can learn and everyone approach is different as well, right? So there are many things which I learned today from you in terms of blue collar job, in terms of that how you approach those problem in US and all those things, which is definitely a great learning. But this TA problem, we might have lots of young TA people in the group community who can learn from your challenges as well.
I when I was thinking about the challenges, right? Because we had a brief discussion about it. It's more to we are more passive in nature. Okay, we have a role. Let's do this role. Once we get the JD, we are like working on it. If we have a pipeline and we can engage the candidates when we got the role, it will be a lot faster, because sourcing from JD to sourcing will usually take 3 to 5
Take
days.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Right, that's where your major chunk of your time goes. So that's where one is pipeline building. If you are in construction, or if you are in technical and everything, your basic funda of your TA sourcing will not change. Your understanding of the role will. What majorly I have seen is the TA, they don't ask questions like, okay, what product are you building? Okay, what is it? Now, when I was working with Meraki, and we were working, there are difference between main contractors, subcontractors, and consultants. So, and each has a project engineer. So you have to ask the question, okay, what does your project engineer do? What are you, main contractor, subcontractor, or consultant? Right? It's not about the checklists. It's about what is the value add that the team is going to get, right? So that's how you have to change your mind. Now, if you know that you get more CVs of software engineers on LinkedIn than Naukri, why are you investing your money on Naukri? You can invest on LinkedIn, even if it's a uh, you have to look at it from a cost perspective and a time perspective as well, right? And quality also matters. Your sourcing game needs to be really strong, and your sourcing game will be strong when you have understanding of the role, and when you understand the role, and you have to understand the team as well. See, some team will hire four project engineers, for example, right? Then your role and your responsibilities will be diluted. But if you have two only, it will be more. So you have to ask those questions to the candidate as well. Okay, what is the composition of your team? How many members of your team handled ABC C responsibilities? And what were you responsible about? And that gives you an idea of how you will evaluate. Number
Yeah.
one, metrics is something, Excel is your best friend. Metrics is something that you have to know. And VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, HLOOKUP are your best friends, and pivot tables as well, right? And if you technology is your friend, to be really honest, uh, I I am currently using ChatGPT to uh, write JDs, to screening questions and everything, and I think that is helping me screen candidates better.
And
But
it's saving lots of your time as well, right? Otherwise
exactly,
you will think and write and all those things.
it is crazy how much great it is. Um, there is a Coursera or Udemy has a course on ChatGPT prompt engineering. I think you should take that, and you should also look at, you shouldn't focus on filling the roles. Of course, that should be your main focus, but it should be how well you can do it, how. And there are some have conversations. Do not be afraid of having conversations, because that will reveal a lot more things. And
That's true.
don't try to lowball the candidate, because they will look for a job after 6 months and you will be back to square one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have that tough conversation, be like ज़्यादा मत दो, because people will be like 25 में लेके आ जाओ, नहीं होगा. Because you have to know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And just because, and candidates are also become very very smart, they have 2 3 offers, you have to talk it out to them.
Thank you so much, Sushmita, for sharing candid answers. I would say, and being real, sharing your past, sharing your present, and sharing the tips. But before we wind up, just wanted to know, like, do you have any thought about like I am recruiter community and how, as a community, we can do better? Uh, if that is something you can share.
I think I spoke to you about having like other TA leaders come and share their journey as well. I'd be more than happy to bring people together, and I believe we need to bring the hiring team onto the platform, is because we will understand their mindset as well. We have
Yeah,
someone who has 6 months of experience to 16 years of experience, right? And we will look at it from a same lens, right? If we understand what is there perspective and what is their point of view, I believe we will be able to do our jobs more strategically.
Agree. Agree. So, thank you, Sushmita,
Thank you so
and
much.
it was lovely talking to you. And looking forward for more similar discussion in future, and so that we can build a great community together.
Of course. I'm recruiter, and I think it's a fab community to be with.
Sure. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Please take care. Nice talking to you. Bye.
See you. Bye.